So, George St Pierre apparently is going to announce his retirement tomorrow, according to, and you need your sources, Ariel Helwani's Instagram and Twitter, MMA Fighting, CBS Sports, Bloody Elbow, have all broke the news that George St Pierre apparently is going to retire. More on this shortly, but the information that we have out there is that it's got something to do with the fact that he had hoped to gain the fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov that Khabib had talked about wanting to have, and when it didn't materialise, as I'm reading here on Janine is telling me that apparently when the fight didn't materialise, he decided to call it a day and retire shortly. So, do I buy or sell this news? I buy it because it's been reported. Who knows what could happen? Being a paranoid wrestling fan where everything's a work, I'm going to think, oh, don't be surprised if he then announces that he's actually going to be fighting Khabib. It was all a swerve. You never know. But I would buy that this could be pretty much it for a number of reasons. George St Pierre has had a long career. How old is he? He's 37 now. He's 37. He's been in a lot of wars. I've watched pretty much every single televised George St Pierre fight that there has ever been. I remember when he fought Jake Oran. I remember when he fought Sean Shirk. I remember when he fought Kara Parisian. I remember when he got signed to the UFC and everyone was saying in the mixedmartialarts.tv message board that this man is the future. This is going to be the guy to dethrone Matt Hughes, who was a monster at 170. And then George fought him in his second fight in the UFC and he lost by armbar. And you could see that George was very nervous and intimidated because he was in there with someone that he looks up to, and then he recovered from that loss and came back and then worked his way to the title. He had that fight with BJ Penn, the first one, the classic BJ Penn fight, which was another great rivalry, and then we see him beat Matt Hughes, and then he lost to Matt Serra in one of the most shocking moments in that weight division's history. And then he came back again and then went on to dominate at 170 all the way to the Johnny Hendricks fight, which some people felt he won, some people felt he lost. And then there was the controversy there and how Dana got really worked up about that. And then there was a lot of, between the two of them, a lot of it was to do with the drug testing and then contracts. And Dana saying he's not coming back. And then George saying he is, he's playing a game to get me to sign for a cheaper contract, which sounds like a Dana White game. And all this infighting, and then in the midst of that, he's got health issues. Obviously, not one, some people are going to look at head trauma when you're doing fighting, of course. And then also the fact that he has had issues with his bowels, and he had colitis, which a friend of mine had. He came back and he fought Michael Bisping, and that was a great return for a one-off. One of my highest viewed videos, funnily enough, was talking about that, which is great. He came back, he had his return, he looked great, he looked a little bit more like a killer. He finished a guy, which we hadn't seen in a while, because obviously he became very conservative after the Sarah fight. And there was a lot of rumours about, really, is this it? And, you know, is he coming back? There was talks of him fighting Conor McGregor. There was talks of him fighting Nate Diaz. There was talks of him last year in autumn that it was rumoured that he was going to be going in there with Anderson Silva and fight Anderson Silva in the Madison Square Garden card, which had Cormier and Derek Lewis. That apparently was the idea to be the main event. And then there was talk about him and Khabib for the last couple of months. And Khabib has really petitioned to get that fight. And now it sounds like George St Pierre is going to be retired, and here I am regurgitating a whole bunch of facts and a whole bunch of things here. And if this is indeed the end, I kind of hope it would be. Even though I would be excited to see him take one more fight. It's weird. Fighting's a very addictive thing as a fan and as a fighter. You always want to see your guy come back. You always want to see your guy come back, even when it may not be the best thing. The guy that you support, the fighter, always wants to leave on a win. It's like, look at some of the guys that we've seen. They lose, but then it's like, well, if I just change this, I can win. Well, if I just change that, then I can win. Chuck Liddell is the first example that springs to mind when I say that. I could even say that about Fedor too. These legends of the sport. Ken Shamrock. these guys in the sport, well, Ken may not be the best. Ken is an example of what I'm getting at, where if they keep going, they start to erode and dilute their legacy. And maybe it's the best thing to just go out on a high. I mean, think about this. George St Pierre came to the biggest fight organisation in the world. Well, Pride was bigger at one point, but he helped that promotion grow. He was the star at 170. He was one of the biggest pay-per-view draws they had. If you look at what he did and you look at the numbers, you can see those numbers getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where he became a massive pay-per-view draw. A very good draw. I mean, you'd want the numbers he's doing back then right now. Trust me when I tell you that right now. One of the all-time greats, of course. And you think about it, he went at 170 and it was almost like blood sport. He came in and he fought the best fighters in all these varieties of styles. He beat BJ Penn twice, redeemed the loss to Sarah, beat Matt Hughes, beat Josh Koscheck, beat Dan Hardy, beat Nick Diaz, beat Johnny Hendricks, and then he took the UFC welterweight belt and he put it on the table and went, I'm taking a break, I'm done. And then he came back again and he beat Michael Bisping and won the middleweight belt and made history for himself. And then he took the belt and he put it down there again. Sounds like something out of a movie. The only thing we're missing is him flying back from Japan with a briefcase full of money. And why not leave on a high? Why not leave? You'll never have a better ending than the one that you had against Michael Bisping. And now, not get so tied up in the politics of negotiating fights and the intense pressure that he put himself under, which was one of the reasons why he stepped away from the sport. Just take a breather. He was alright in that Captain America film. I'll tell you that. He's got money. Keep your wits about you. Let's not get any more damage. And, I'm a huge fan. Look, I mean, I bought this in Forbidden Planet. I mean, look at the size of me. People in Forbidden Planet and Covent Garden are like, yeah, I don't get this. So, if this is indeed the end, farewell to you, my friend. And thank you for all those fights and inspiring many people throughout life. Let me know what you think. I'm going to head off. I don't sound great. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Put some comments down below. Is this indeed the end for George St Pierre? I think it is, and I think he should leave on a high. And let me know what you think. Take care.